What's happening, everybody? Dave Bowen back again, and this is the third video since I've come back. I'm going to be uploading all three together. The first two, just to give you kind of a outline of what's going on here, because if you haven't watched the other two videos, then you may be wondering where in the heck I've been and all that stuff. So that's in the first two videos, along with some very, very important information. They're titled "The Truth Will Set You Free," and that's actually going to be the title of my first book that I'm going to be releasing. I have no idea when, but it will be a book that I'm going to be putting together. And it goes over some background information that is important for you to know. But today, as you can see here, I want to talk about a lost mode of prayer that I believe is probably it is the most important information that has been kept from us for thousands of years, but was hidden in some ancient documents, and I mentioned it in the last two videos about the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I don't know, I may have mentioned the Essenes, but the Essenes are the ones that hid this information purposely for us to find at a later date. They didn't hide it they knew what was going to happen. They knew that somebody, which happened to be the Catholic Church and Rome, was going to take these books out of the Bible that had this important information about a mode of prayer that can change this world, and it can change your life completely. And it's already done so for me in the short time that I've been practicing it. And I mentioned in the other two videos about a book that I highly, highly recommend that you get. I own the ebook. I'm going to be purchasing the actual book. But it's called The Isaiah Effect by Gregg Braden. And Gregg Braden is one of my favorite authors in this this truth niche, I guess you could call it, bringing the truth to the people. He's just an amazing, amazing guy. He's extremely intelligent. He actually worked for major companies like Intel, IBM, computer stuff, and scientists, all that stuff. So he's extremely knowledgeable about the information like quantum physics and quantum mechanics and all that stuff. So he gives you a really interesting perspective, and what this lost mode of prayer allows us to do, and it explains a lot as to why the Catholic Church was so against science. Okay, they were religion. Well, this lost mode of prayer actually brings science and religion together, okay, which we were always told could never happen. Well, it's happening. And what this lost mode of prayer is there actually are four different, and I did mention this now that I remember in, I believe, the last video. There are four different kinds of prayer that we know today. And the first one is, let me see if I can find it in here. Oh. Anyways, the first one is like, God, please help me. Then there's another one like a ritualistic prayer, like the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven. Then there is meditation, okay? Trying to find the prayers. Hold on just a second. Anyways, it's not that important, but I would like to find it. But anyways, there's a prayer of meditation where you don't say anything. And I'm trying to, oh, okay, here we go. So you have the colloquial prayer, which is, dear God, please this one time, blah, blah, blah. Petitionary prayer is, in this type, we claim our good from the creative force of the world for specific things or outcomes. May be formal in our own words, mighty, I am presence, I claim the right to heal. Ritualistic prayer is like, Our Father who art in heaven, and then meditative prayer. Okay, and then the Essenes give us a fifth mode of prayer, which is completely different. And actually, the Buddhists in Tibet and the Native Americans have known this type of prayer for thousands and thousands of years. And that's what Gregg Braden does in this book, is he actually went to Tibet and he spoke to an abbot. And the abbot confirmed this to him. And he you know, because Gregg Braden asked him, he said, what is the most important thing that you could tell us about what your monks do in their prayer? And the abbot said, feeling. Feeling. You have to feel your prayer. Okay? And the Essenes, and let me, okay, here it is, actually, what the abbot said. Each time we pray individually, the abbot says, we must feel our prayer. When we pray, we feel on the behalf of all beings everywhere. We are all connected, he said. We are all expressions of one life. No matter where we are, our prayers are heard by all. We are all the same one. Okay? And then I want to tell you this story about a Native American who was a friend of Gregg Braden's. And this must have been in the mid-90s, I think he said. And there was a drought in, I believe, in New Mexico where he lives. And there was a drought, and it was horrible. And you know, his Native American friend called him and said, you know, I want you to come with me. I'm going to pray for rain. You know, and so they went to this ancient you know, place where their ancestors, as far back as they can remember, created. And it was just a place where stones were placed. And if you weren't looking for it, you'd completely miss it. So anyways, you know, Gregg is standing outside of the stone circle, and his Native American friend goes into the stone circle, and he closes his eyes and he starts to walk around the circle. But he's so close to the circle that he's barely touching the stones with his feet. And he's honoring his ancestors and the creator of all things. But what Gregg didn't realize in the beginning was that his eyes were actually closed. Somehow he was walking the circle perfectly. Anyways, he comes around. He turns to Gregg with his eyes closed. He puts his hand in a praying position. And then he opens his eyes and he says, now let's go eat. And Gregg says, I thought you said you were praying for rain. And he says, no. He said, I prayed you know, that it would rain. But if we prayed for rain, we would be acknowledging the non-existence of rain. And he goes on to say, okay, and it was this. When I was young, he had said, our elders passed on to me the secret of prayer. The secret is that when we ask for something, we acknowledge what we do not have. Continuing to ask only gives power to what has never come to pass. The path between man and the forces of this world begins in our hearts. It is here that our feeling world is married to our thinking world. In my prayer, I begin with the feeling of gratitude for all that is and all that has come to pass. I gave thanks for the desert wind, the heat, and the drought, for that is the way of it until now. It is not good, it is not bad. It has been our medicine. Then I chose a new medicine. I began to have the feeling of what rain feels like. I felt the feeling of rain upon my body. Standing in the stone circle, I imagined that I was in the plaza of our village, barefoot in the rain. I felt the feeling of wet earth oozing between my naked toes. I smelled the smell of rain on the straw and mud walls of our village. After the storms, I felt what it feels like to walk through fields of corn growing up to my chest because the rains have been so plentiful. The old ones remind us that this is how we choose our path in this world. We must first have the feelings of what we wish to experience. This is how we plant the seeds of a new way from that point forward. David continued, our prayer becomes a prayer of thanks. Okay, and then he says, thanks for, hold on, so thanks, do you mean thanks for what we have created? No, not for what we have created, David replied. Creation is already complete. Our prayer becomes a prayer of thanks for the opportunity to choose which creation we experience. Through our thanks, we honor all possibilities and bring the ones we choose into this world. And that is it in a gist right there. In the Essenes, which I highly recommend picking up. There's a guy by the name of Edmund Szeleky that gives you the best translation of the Essenes Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, and here is hold on a second. This is a great quote from the Essenes Gospel of Peace. And actually, you can go online and just type in his name, Google it, and put PDF at the end of it, and you'll find some PDFs. The one I highly recommend reading is the Essenes Gospel of Peace. In the Essenes Gospel of Peace, it says, the path of the infinite garden, must be traversed by the body, the heart, and the mind as one. And the Essenes stress this. They stress it so much that in order to create through this mode of prayer, you first have to think it, then you have to feel it in your heart, and then you have to have the emotion come out in your body. Okay, and that's very important. I thought this was cool too, and because Gregg Braden also does a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? People come and listen to him talk. My mind went blank. Anyways, one lady asked him, why prayer? And he thought for a minute, and the words, as he says in the book, just happened to come out. And it was, prayer is to us as water is to the seed of a plant. And he goes on to explain what he means by that if you don't understand it, because that's one of the most powerful quotes I could ever give you. Because a seed is complete and whole, and a seed can live for a long, long time by itself. But when you give a seed water, it sprouts into a new life, and it becomes something new. Okay, and that's what prayer allows us to do, because we have this stuff inside of us. Okay, it's like a seed inside of us, just waiting for a little bit of water to come out and grow into something new. And I can tell you that I have transformed in these past 2 months into somebody that I only dreamed of in the past. And I may not be rich, I may not be powerful. That's not what I want. I would rather, just as I told this guy, I'm actually going to get some type of part-time job, some extra income to help supplement what I'm doing with the research and stuff like that, because eventually I'm going to be traveling all over the world, to Egypt and to Tibet, and just like Gregg Braden has done. Anyways, and as I told him, because it's going to be doing, helping people invest and things like that, just like I told him, I said, I would rather help people than I would to make money, because I know that if I help people, that the money will come to me, and the money isn't as important. The money is just a byproduct, and this is something I have been preaching for a long time. The money is a byproduct of who you are on the inside and what you do to help others. I truly believe in the law of karma. I know it's a universal law because I've seen it in my own life. When I did bad things, I had bad things happen to me. So karma is real. So if you're doing bad things, okay, if you are focusing more on yourself than others, that's okay. If you didn't realize that you were doing it. Now, if you realize you're doing it and you kept on doing it, it's not okay, but you can change that. If you truly want to change that, you can change that. All right, and I'll go into more videos on how to do that, but this is one way to start. Connect. I stress the importance in the last 2 videos of meditation. If everybody meditated in this world would be a completely different place. It would be a completely different place. So start meditating, start searching within, because here's the thing, is God is within. God is not something out there. God is everything, okay? God is the grass, all right? God is everything. He's a tree. He's everything. But He's also inside you, because He helped to create you, okay? And if you don't believe that God is real, I still love you, I care for you, but I can't... I have no compassion, or I guess that shouldn't be the word to use. I don't understand how that you couldn't believe that something created this. That something created this. I mean, science is now proving that something created this. And just to give you proof, there's a guy by the name of Max Planck, who was a Nobel Prize winning physicist. And Max Planck went on to say, he says, the Nobel Prize winning physicist Max Planck shocked the world with his references to the unseen forces of nature. And accepting the Nobel Prize for his study of the atom, he made a remarkable statement. As a man who has devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science, to the study of matter, I can tell you that as a result of my research about the atoms, this much. There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force, which brings the particles of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter. And that is one powerful quote. And that just proves to you that science is proving the existence of God. And as I said in the beginning of this video, science and religion are starting to become as one. Okay, and that's powerful, because that's what the Catholic Church has tried to keep from happening. But here's the thing, is they can only suppress the truth for so long. The truth will come out one way or another. And that's what these beings, whatever you want to call them, these highly intelligent beings have been telling the government and these higher up elites for a long time, for the past 20-some years, that you can suppress the truth up to the year 2012. And after the year 2012, it will come out. And it has been since December 21st, 2012. The truth has been coming out faster than it ever has. Okay? Let's see. Are there a couple other things that I wanted to... Here's something else from the Essenes Gospel of Peace. Okay? And it says, "First shall the Son of Man seek peace within his own body, for his body is as a mountain pond that reflects the sun when it is still and clear. When it is full of mud and stones, it reflects nothing. Then shall the Son of Man seek peace within his own thoughts. There is no greater power in heaven and earth than the thought of the Son of Man. Though unseen by the eyes of the body, yet each thought has mighty strength. Even such strength can shake the heavens. Then shall the Son of Man seek peace with his own feelings." We call on the angel, and understand when they say angel, they're meaning you could replace that with power or force. We call on the angel of love to enter our feelings, that they may be purified, and all that was before impatience and discord will turn into harmony and peace. Okay, so that is a powerful quote from the Essenes Gospel of Peace. And so the last thing I guess I could give you is start practicing this stuff. Pick up this book. Read this book. It will change your life forever. That's all I got, guys. Love you. Grace and peace, and namaste.